Hari Om, everybody, and welcome to day 3 of this really fun, incredible session. I will start sharing my PPT and keep you here. I'll just also open the chat box so that I can read all your comments. I hope it's visible and clear. All right, so day 3 is for standard 5 and 6, and our first lesson is Rise of the Fierce Warrior. This is one of my most favorite stories from the yoga lexicon and also in Hindu mythology. And I can't wait to share it with you. Have any of you read this book? And do you know what this story is about? If you do, please send us a chat saying you know the story or you don't and who the story is about, maybe. Yes, great. Who's the story about? No idea. Sati, good. Parvati and Shiva, good. Close. All right. Sati Devi. Okay, beautiful. You're all close, but same story, different perspective. This story is about Daksha. Good. You've told me the characters, but you've missed the main hero of the story. Who is the main hero? Veerabhadra. Sumanji, I love you. Yes, Veerabhadra. And who is Veerabhadra a form of? Anyone knows? Who is he a form of? No idea. Prajapati Shiva, very good, very good. He is a form of Prajapati or Shiva. So we are going to start with the story. I will tell it to you so that you understand. I'm actually going to stop the share so you can listen to me in full screen and understand the story. So I'm going to tell it to you very short. Obviously, please explain it in a lot more detail when you tell the children. So once upon a time, long, long ago, Sati was born to Daksha. And she decided she wanted to marry Lord Shiva. From a very young age, she had always seen his pictures around, and she was very deeply enamored by Lord Shiva. So from a very young age, she decided that this is the man I want to marry. And as she grew up, and she was a very beautiful, smart, amazing girl. And as all young women reach a certain age, their fathers start worrying about getting them married. And it was no different in Daksha's household. Since Sati was growing to be such a beautiful woman, he knew he had to have the best man to marry her. So he sent out an invite to the whole of the Bhumi Loka and invited every great valorous king to come to this party. Okay, and whoever Sati would choose would become his wife. Sati's husband. So he gave Sati a garland and said, whoever you decide in this party you can put the garland on them and they will then become your husband. So Sati already had it in her mind that she wanted to marry Shiva. So she was a little confused with what her father had said, even though she had made it clear that she wanted to marry Shiva. And but being a good daughter, party happened. She mingled, she spoke to everybody, and everyone was more and more enamored by how kind and intelligent this beautiful woman was. The party went on, and it was time for the garland to be given and put on somebody's neck and Sati to choose a husband. So then what happened is Sati closes her eyes and she says, Shiva, I love you and you're the man I'm going to marry. If you understand and hear this, I'm going to throw this garland up and you must appear and it must fall on your neck. With all her heart, the garland, closes her eyes. Her father crosses fingers and waiting. Everybody's waiting, hoping they would be the one that this garland would fall on. And she throws the garland in the air. And lo and behold, just before it lands, Shiva comes and the garland lands on his neck. And now, because Daksha has given his word, Sati and Shiva are married. They're married much to Daksha's disapproval. He does not like Shiva very much. He's not, the typical boy that you bring home. He likes to meditate and sit in the mountains. So Daksha was not very happy about this. And So they go back. And then Daksha was very unhappy. So he decided he's going to do something to make them upset. So he said, I will organize another party and I will not invite the both of them here so that they know that they are of a different strata of society and we are slightly different. I'm sure you've seen this story play out many times. Yes. So Daksha will then host a party and he does not invite Sati or Shiva. Somehow or the other, news travels as it always does across all of India, across the entire world. News always travels, right? Sati hears and she's like, oh, I'm so surprised. Why hasn't father invited me? I mean, I am after all his most favorite daughter. And I think he made a mistake. He must have sent the invitation. He must have forgot. She was very wise and all-knowing. And he says, Sati, there is a reason some things don't happen. Don't keep it in your mind. Just let it go. Some things are not meant to happen. She's like, no, I think you're being silly. He invited her. He invited us. We just didn't get the invitation. So Shiva says, okay, I'm going to stay here. If you really want to go, you please go. So she goes down all the way to back to Daksha's kingdom. And when she goes, the party has begun and she walks in and her father's like, oh, how did you come here? You know, he says it just as a jest and joke and she's upset. Everybody around is conversing and saying things. And she's getting more and more furious that this father who was supposed to love her and understand her and accept her was now the one that was causing her trouble or not able to respect her choices. So in anger, she just stands quietly, just burning from the inside. You all said Jataragni, right? Burning from the inside, unable to take everything that is happening till she literally burns herself to ashes in front of the whole guest. Shiva realized that his news was wrong, and instantly from his hair he plucks a lock and sends it, throws it down the mountain to go and see what has happened to Shiva. This little lock of hair slides down the mountain of Kailash and transforms into Veerabhadra, which is where the first pose comes to. Okay, I'm just going to demo it to you. So Veerabhadra, okay, rises from the earth, and this is Veerabhadrasana. He rises from the earth. In his hands, he takes an axe and a mace and appears at the party. And then, with one quick squish, he cuts off the head of Daksha and offers it to every guest in the party. So that is Veerabhadrasana 1, Veerabhadrasana 2, and Veerabhadrasana 3. So each story actually has every asana has a story behind it. So hopefully when you share the story, you're able to do the pose so they're able to understand. Veerabhadra came from the earth to hold the first pose. He did this with the hands open, becomes Veerabhadrasana 2, and then Veerabhadrasana 3. If you want, who's willing to try it with me? Anyone? Good. Prema, I love you. Thank you. All right. If we can share the spotlight. All right, let's try. Okay. So together, so what we're doing is just one leg in front and one behind. This is a wide stance. And your hips turn to face the front and hands up to the sky. And bend the knees and sit down. That's all. That's Veerabhadrasana 1. Same thing, Veerabhadrasana 2 is you open and your hands are open. So imagine you're holding the axe and a sword, two things in your hand. Veerabhadrasana 3 is a little bit more tricky, okay? So coming back, you balance on one leg and see if you can lift the other leg up and back. You're forming like capital letter T. Amazing, 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 amazing. Beautiful, beautiful. Lovely. Finding your balance and staying there. Beautiful. Let's give her a big round of applause. Good job. Good job. That's really good. Thank you, thank you, thank you so much. So these are the 3 poses, okay? And this is what the story is built around, to teach children that asana practice is not meant to be boring. Children this is essentially what it's about, okay? So I'm just going to go back and share the screen so that you can see the slides. So what we're doing in this is that The different poses relate to the different characters. If you have your book in front of you, you will see there's this pose for Sita, there is a pose for Daksha, there's a pose for when they come into the house. These poses are there so that as you tell the story, the kids can do the asana practice. Now, if you're not somebody that's comfortable doing the asana practice, it is okay. Just call the yoga teacher and ask them to be part of this for you, okay, so that they can help you. Okay, so that's essentially it. You can tell the story with this. And some other things that you can do is when you're teaching the story is we can do the Om chanting. Okay, so what that means is the sound of Om normally comes from three parts: your belly, your chest, and your throat area. The sound is cut up into three syllables. I already see scribbling. Why? There are no children here. I'm just going to stop share and reshare.
You could turn
Keeping
off.
us all. Yes, yes, I just. Sorry, sir. So we can do the Om chantings, and what that means is you can break the sound up into three, and how you can teach this to the children is you're all at home, don't feel afraid, you're in a very safe space, so let's just try this once. I want you to bring one hand on your belly, okay, just one hand on your belly. The first sound is ah, oo, and okay, so holding your belly, you want to say the sound of ah. And the sound is coming from a very bass sound. Now, most of you will be like, oh, why should I chant? Why should I hear my own voice? I'm so uncomfortable hearing my own voice. But this is exactly why we must tell children to do it. If we are afraid to hear our own voices out loud, when are we ever going to be able to speak our truth? Correct? So what we're doing is the heart is very deeply connected to the voice. So when we speak our truth, we speak it through the voice. So one hand on the belly. The first sound is ah. And the sound, when you take a nice inhale, you can do it with me. I'll chant it for you. You will inhale. And the first sound is ah. You can get kids to do this about 2 or 3 times. Second sound is the sound of oo. And this time is when you keep the hand at your chest to feel the sound here. So the sound goes, taking an inhale. You can try it with me. Ooh. Just feeling the vibration in your chest. And the last one is in your throat. At least try it. Touch and feel if you can feel the sound here. Just hold on to your throat. Okay. And then say the sound. Ready? Mouth is closed. Inhale. Are you able to feel the vibration? So when we say the sound of Om, we are taking it from the belly all the way up. So apart from the very philosophical meanings of this beautiful sound, and these 3 syllables are there across cultures. AUM is there in Amin, in Islam, in Amen, in Christianity. So it is a universal sound. When they combine together, we form the sound of Om. So you can tell the kids that there's nothing to be about, and they can all chant it, even wherever you are. Okay, so you can combine the sound and ask them to say Oms again and again, and you will feel it. The sound is so powerful, and when you own it, it becomes really, really powerful. Okay. Another activity you can do during this class is to do the Surya Namaskar. We have added some, what is this called? Some affirmations, so that when the children do the pose, they know it's not just a pose. In today's day and age, I'm sure if I say yoga, the only thing you're thinking of is asana. But yoga is so much more. It's not just an asana practice. There is so much more to it. So we're trying to let them understand the multi-dimension that yoga actually constitutes, while sharing with them the easiest, most accessible form of it, which is the asana practice. Got it? So you can try the poses or involve your yoga teacher in school, or call me and I will help you with it on how to do these poses with these, each with an affirmation. The very aim of this is just understand that we need to direct the energy of children. Your children by 5th standard, 6th standard have a lot of energy, and you're going to be really tired in school trying to teach them because they're not listening, right? Only when you give them yoga, it helps them just channelize the energy into a certain part. And you will also, they will understand the emotional benefit or the impact of doing these breathing exercise. And you should inspire them to do yoga as a daily part of their routine. So you might ask me, great, Rohini, yoga is nice, but or yoga is not so nice. Maybe some of you don't think it is great. So why yoga? Any ideas? I mean, the answers are there. But why do you think we should practice yoga? Teachers. Yoga is skill in action. Okay, that is the overarching thing. But why should you practice yoga? Keeps the body and mind fit. Body mind tuning. Stay fit. Okay. And now you're still thinking only about the asana. Do you realize the kind of whale that is in front of us? We're only thinking about the body. Yeah, is great. We must practice yoga at the body level. You're absolutely right. It is a great way to clean your toxins, just like you brush your teeth on a daily basis. There is toxins built in your body on a daily basis as well. And yoga is the only thing that helps you bring body, mind, and soul in connection. Most amazing. I like all the answers: controlling our anger, physical fitness plus mental fitness. So nicely said. It's not just about the body. The body is the tool to connect to the mind. And you will understand this, right? On the day you are really, really sad, if I tell you to do anything, you'll be like, I'm too tired. I can't do it today. But on the day you're really, really happy, and I say, do you want to help me do this? And be like, yeah, why not? So our mind plays a big role in the body. So yoga helps integrate these two states. It acts as an anchor for the mind, and it removes all the toxins. And if you don't believe me, there is a research by Harvard that says yoga improves balance, strength, endurance, and aerobic capacity in children. It can improve focus, memory, self-esteem, academic performance, and classroom behavior, and can even reduce anxiety and other states in the mind. Have you seen this video where in the United States, children, when they do wrong, they do something wrong, they sent to detention, and now they swap detention for meditation. And then did you notice, have you seen this video? Anyone seen it? You can put your hands up. No. No. Yes. Anyone's there? Not there. All are sleeping, awake. You can answer. No, you've not seen it. This is an interactive class, you guys. So this is not a lecture. So feel free to interact. I know how it feels to sit through all these lectures. So, but interact, yeah. So in that video, it showed how after the practice of yoga, kids were getting a lot more smarter and more alert. Kanimuriji, you're saying it's not visible, like the screen is not visible. I hope that's better. Reduce it this way. Is that better, Kanimuriji?
Screen is visible.
Okay, all right, no. And then you might say, okay, good, I understand the benefits of yoga. How do I then communicate this to the kids? And this is how I would tell it to a child. I will say, what if I told you a secret that's 5,000 years old, that has been passed on from generation to generation, but not to everybody, okay? It was only passed on to people that were ready for it. These people had to meditate and sit for long hours and do a lot of practice, and only then they got to know the secret. Do you want to know it? And most likely the kids will be like, yes, I want to know it. And that's when you tell them the secret is yoga. Yoga is the only form of movement that has been passed on for 5,000 years. No other form of movement on the face of this planet has ever passed on this long. Everything else you see is a fad, from your running to your aerobics to whatever it is that you do, your Zumba. Zumba will be gone in another, 300, 400 years. But yoga has lived 5,000 years. So it's really important that we share it. And it is also important to share that yoga is not boring. The way we teach our kids really matters. Is why most kids today actually don't want to do yoga, because they're like, no, yoga is so boring. All my teacher is asking me to do is sit and sleep in the class. So we got to make it more dynamic for them. And also make them understand that yoga is not only about asana. Considering that it was born in India, it is our duty to be able to share this and inspire our children to take up this practice. They're always like, oh my God, I never thought yoga was so interesting. And it actually just depends on the teacher. It's like when people say, oh, maths is so hard, until you meet a really good maths teacher and you're like, oh, it's so great. So it depends on us how we communicate this to our kids. Some final examples of people that practice yoga. Narendra Modi does his yoga practice every single morning, regardless of being such a busy man. Sachin Tendulkar and Shekhar Dhawan, I'm sure you've heard of them. Cricket players, they practice and swear by yoga. In the West, Madonna, David Beckham, he's a football star, and even Oprah Winfrey, all of them practice yoga. It has now become almost universal everywhere you go. When I lived in Australia, almost every second street had yoga. The West has eaten this up, and it's about time we own it and share it to our kids, okay? So essentially, if you got confused through it all, the main message is yoga makes you amazing, and it's a fun practice. It's more than just asana. And it is up to us to own and take care of this culture, okay? And we must practice it on a daily basis. Maybe you can create a simple rhyme to teach the same. And the only thing you need to worry about is make sure that they have space, just like you saw Ami and Premama just move, no? So to have comfortable spaces and comfortable clothes, and make sure this is not directly after lunch. Habits you want them to develop by the end of our lesson is that they're ever feeling like they don't know how to communicate certain emotions. The asana is a great way to practice and release what you're feeling. I'm sure you've all felt that you're like, I'm really irritated, I don't know how to say it out. This is channelized through the movement, okay? And the practice is you need to practice it every day. The idea of yoga is you start with something you can see, this body. And slowly from there, you evolve to things that you can't see. You control this, the physical body that's right here. And eventually you learn to control the mind and the emotions and all of that. But primarily they should love yoga and not think of it as boring or for old people. And this lies in all your beautiful, beautiful hands, okay? So this is lesson 1. Did anyone have any questions so far? Were you okay? Are you any concerns that you might have in the practice? No?
Rohini?
Yes? Hariom Samji, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Should I continue, Samji?
Continue. Please, please,
Okay.
please.
Okay, so we're now coming into our second lesson of class 5, which is Hanuman's gift of speech. From the asana practice, we're moving to something a little bit more deeper. Okay, one question, CVS, please ask. Just waiting for the chat box to load. Is it possible to do sky yoga? I don't know what is sky yoga. Vedhatri is sky yoga. Okay, I'm not sure what that is. Maybe you can explain a little bit more. Simplified Kundalini yoga. Okay. Understand this much. Patanjali in his Yoga Sutras defined asana as Sthira Sukha Asana. That's it. Anything that makes you stable, anything that makes you comfortable. As simple as that. As different teachers taught it, they taught it in different styles. They called it Kundalini. It's like all soap is essentially the same, but somebody called it Dove soap, somebody called it Lux, whatever. But essentially soap is just the same. They added an extra flavor to it. So to asana is just essentially the same. There are 64 classical asanas, and that's all that we practice on. Everything else is a packaged version. So what I'm sharing to you is from the original 64 classical asanas. So may as well stick to it because I don't know how new or old these versions are. So stick to the lineage is my answer on that. Okay, from where it was first born. Hope that answers it. Okay, now going into Hanuman's gift of speech. This is again a beautiful lesson. Have a guess. Why don't you write and tell me, what do you think this lesson is about? It's very obvious. Any thoughts? Any ideas? Anybody? Chanting Ram. Okay, not really. The word speech is there. So what do you think it's about? Art of speaking. Very good. Very, very smart. Story I will tell you in very, very kuti, short form. Okay. Wali sees two very strong built men walking, and then Wali is asking, who are these two? I'm sure that, Sugriva is asking, Sugriva sees two men walking and asks, who are these two? I think Wali has sent them to try and beat me up or conquer me. And he calls Hanuman and says, go and check on them. So Hanuman goes down and he introduces himself. This is the bubble that is there. You can see it, yeah? Namaste, travelers. You look really great, but you are armed with bows and arrows. Animals in the jungle are frightened by your presence, and yet your eyes look like petals of a lotus. You have broad chests and charming forms. You seem to be unbeatable in a fight, yet you look peace-loving. You appear to be saviors of many lives. Are you gods disguised as human beings? Lo, these contrasting observations make me wonder a lot. So this dialogue is essentially about Hanuman introducing himself and trying to find out who the other two are. Any guesses who they are? The color of their skin should give it away. Do you know who these two handsome gentlemen are? No? Yes, Ram and Lakshmana. Thank you. Yes, it's Lord Ram and Lakshmana. Yes, I'm glad some of you are here. Great. And after this conversation, thank you, you guys. At the end, Rama says this bottom box is Rama's this thing. He says, his eyebrows and forehead did not move unnecessarily. When we are angry, we talk like this and eyebrows are moving. You can see it's not a calm mind. His voice was neither too loud nor like a whisper. He started, continued, and completed his words in the same tone. He knows how to spell each and every syllable. This means when you speak, right, you enunciate every word. I too have been looking for Sugriva, and at last we have found him. Sugriva is very lucky to have Hanuman as his minister. Convey to Hanuman a purpose of presence in the forest. This is what Ram says. So through this story, what we're saying is, apart from the story, how well Hanuman was able to communicate and how well Rama was able to understand who Hanuman was just based on what he was saying. So essentially, from this lesson, we want children to understand speaking is an art. It reveals your character of how well you're able to speak and communicate something. And it is important to hone our speaking skills and communicate in a very calm and happy manner. What you want them to feel is to appreciate the goodness of good speech. In today's age, I'm sure you're seeing all this. Do you know any lingo? Lol, I think this is all past. The slang of today and how language is just disappearing. Any slang that comes to your mind that children share, please put it in the chat box that you are tired of hearing. Have you heard this? It is so wicked. Have you heard that one? Thumbs up or thumbs down? Yeah. No? Anyone heard? It's so wicked. No? Kids saying that? Okay, kids often say that. Yeah, my bad. Yeah, that's a new one. ASAP, perfect. So kids say when something is good, they just say it's wicked. So language has changed a lot. The lingo has changed, and what we're trying to introduce to them is the aesthetics of speaking really beautifully. And so weird. Wow, yeah, so many words like this that they're using in this generation. So how do you communicate this to the kids, right? How do you share to them that it's important to learn this? And this is one way you could communicate it. Being able to have conversations, good conversations, help children make friends. So you can ask them, how do you feel when nobody, or you can ask them, does it feel okay to not be listened to? Do you feel like you are speaking and nobody is listening? Do you feel like you're asking your mama something, but she's not able to understand? Do you feel like anything you're saying is misunderstood by the teacher? Do you feel like you're not able to speak your heart to your friends? Are you able to not understand? So these are nice ways to just bring about the idea that all of this depends on good communication, that the more we communicate effectively, the better it is for us. So that's one way to share it. And things, nice questions to ask kids. Do they ever feel scared to say what they like? Are they holding themselves back? Do they want to be part of something like a school drama, but they're not sure how to ask? Do you want to get something done, but you're scared to ask? Afraid of the scoldings and not sure how to deal with the scoldings later. See, all of this just depends on how you're able to communicate emotions clearly. Okay, so here are some simple ways on how to solve that. Some great examples of people who are great orators, please add to this list. From the top of my head was Gurudev Swami Chinmayananda. He was an excellent orator, and he made even the most complex of Vedanta so simply put that everybody could understand it. Adi Shankara, I'm sure you know, he went around having conversations. It was a debate. And the rule was simple. If you won over with your logic, I will join you. And if I win with my logic, you will join me. And that's how he went across all of India. Modi is another great, somebody who speaks really well. He's able to ignite a lot of passion in India. Obama, Tony Robbins, Sadhguru. I hope you've heard of Sir Ken Robinson. He talks about education. He's a TED Talk speaker, and again, and very, very, very good with the way he speaks. So these are some examples that you could share with the kids. And some activities you could do to help this lesson is listen carefully. So have one child, Swami Ramanujar, yes, nice one, very nice example. One activity that you can have is, say, ask 3 children or 4 children to form a circle or a group, and they're talking about amongst themselves. One child is standing outside, okay? So in round 1, that child is asking something and all of them ignore the one that is speaking. In round 2, ask them to listen but speak meanly. Be like, oh my gosh, why are you bothering us? And in the 3rd round, ask them to speak and respond kindly. Okay. After you do this, ask both the speaker and the listener how it felt. Second thing you can do is for the single person to understand what's going on, is for them to speak meanly to the group when they're not listening. Hey, why are you not listening to me? I'm right here. And then also round 2 is just to speak really calm, compose, but speak your heart and be like, you know, it really hurt me that you didn't listen, but I'm glad you're listening to me now. So helping them verbalize what they are feeling. So these are some nice activities you can do, and then ask how it felt. Is this activity clear? Are you able to understand it? Yeah? Okay, great. Second thing you can do is spot the lie. I put this here because people understand that when you lie, your body changes. It is impossible to lie with a straight face, especially for children. So you can say they have to tell 5 things out of which one is a lie. And you will notice when you're lying, the first thing you'll start is you'll start fidgeting. You look here, you look there. There'll be lots of ums and ahs in your speech. So just how saying lies alters speech. And the last activity you can give is speak up, which is give them 5 scenarios where they need to be assertive, where they need to say something in a very calm, steady, purposeful way. And this could be like if someone's bullying another kid, you saw like one boy beating another boy up. What would you do? How would you speak to each person? So giving them something like somebody who's, when you were walking on the road, you saw somebody throw a stone on a cat or a dog. What and how will you deal with that situation? So you're giving them ways to learn to speak. And only then can they slowly evolve to grow like our hero Hanuman. Okay. So these are some activities that you can do. Some simple rules that children need to adhere to as they're doing this is to remain calm, to make eye contact, have a clear and confident voice, and listening. Speaking is not about you speaking. So it's about listening as well. Okay. And this is a nice poem. If you want, I'll share it with you. It's about the importance of the words please and thank you. You're welcome to share this again with the kids. It says, when you see something you want, what's the magic word? Please, please, please. When you get something you want, what's the magic word? Thank you, thank you, thank you. Please and thank you, please and thank you. These are nice words you can say. Please and thank you, please and thank you. Say them every day. So just something nice that you can share with the kids. So it's imbibed in them to say, please, thank you, sorry. Another nice word that kids find it very hard to say nowadays. So it's good to get them to say these words as part of their speech. So essentially, main messages of this is when speaking, always make eye contact. Arguing, organize your thoughts, focus on your body language. For example, talking to you and I'm like, so yeah, today's lesson is like this. You're going to be like, what is this girl doing? She doesn't even know what she's talking about, right? Body language makes a big difference. If I sit like this or I sit straight, all of this makes a difference. And then don't run parallel dialogues in your own head. That means if you're talking to me and simultaneously if you're saying something and I'm like, oh yeah, what did I have for breakfast? Why is she saying like that? I'm not listening. So teaching kids the art of listening as well, which is an important part of being a good speaker. Okay, so these are some very simple things that you can do to make this lesson fun. Children must feel confident enough to speak and have the tools and the ability to say what they want. And they must learn to be kind, underline, 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 and yet assertive. Okay. Okay. We are almost in time. Whew, 2 minutes. But I'm just going to touch this really quickly. Sorry it's taken so long. This one is on when breath becomes precious. Give me 5 minutes. Story is really simple. There's a boy who wants to go mountaineering. He goes up, climbing up, and then he's finding it really hard to breathe. And his teacher asks him to breathe Ujjayi breathing. You might ask, what is Ujjayi breathing? Ujjayi breathing is, so when you constrict your throat, what it does is it heats the breath. So the breath goes down deeper into the body, making you feel warm. So the teacher is recommending to this boy to do Ujjayi breathing. I will show it to you again. Inhale through the nose. And when you make like a soft sound, but with the mouth closed. That's called Ujjayi breath. Now, this is very, very, very important to teach your children. I will tell you also why. Have you ever seen a baby breathe? Put your hand up. Anyone watched a little baby breathe? Yes? If you have, put your hand up if you watched a baby breathe. Yes, I see at least one hand up, thank God. If you see a baby breathe, their bellies move really as they breathe. It is said, as we grow up as adults, we stop breathing from the belly. We breathe higher, higher, shallower, shallower, shallower breath till it leaves the mouth. And so most of us are breathing at 10 or 20% capacity than what we can really breathe. Okay. So it's about breathing deeply, and as children breathe slowly or less, it actually makes it really hard for you to understand. You can live without, can you live without, how long can you live without food and water? Give me an answer. 2 days, 3 days. How many days can you go without food and water? 2 or 3 days. There's a story where Bhagat Singh went up without food and drink for about 30 days. He was on a fast. There are Jains that fast for very long. So to understand, right, when you teach this to the kids, you can say, you can live without food and water actually for quite a while. Okay. Outer limit, yeah, Jains 40 days. Absolutely, Pratima. But how long can you live without breathing? If I hold your breath, how long will you be alive? Very, very, very little, right? So we cannot live without a breath at all. It is what, like petrol is to a car, breath is to the human body. So it's really, really important that children learn to breathe properly. Asthma, breathing problems, this has become rampant in today's day and age. So it's really important that they breathe deeply. And examples of people that know how to do pranayama, any classical singer, if you're a child or you have somebody who's singing, you will know the first thing they learned is how to what is this called, how to breathe properly, because the longer you're able to breathe, the longer you're able to hold the note. This is something we do in every Sandhya Vandanam. You will see the Anilom Vilom is taught. And I put your grandma because most of our grandmas have lived healthier, happier lives than we and our children do. So that's why they're all practitioners. So you want to help them understand the connection between breathing and good health and some good breathing techniques and the emotional impact. This how you will teach is just this, okay? When you're angry, ask children, how is angry breath? You'll be like, I'm so angry, right? You see the breath is changing. And then when you're sad, how will you breathe? You'll be like, yeah, breath is changing even when you're sad. When you're happy, how will you breathe? You'll be like, oh my God, it really happened. When you're scared, you'll hold breath. So breath impacts, or rather, emotions impact your breath, but understand breath impacts your emotions too. Some simple things that you can teach, all are very simple and self-explanatory. I will teach you the Brahmari breath is the one that we kind of did, you know, when we did the Om, the sound of you felt it here. That's the same thing you will do, but you do it by closing your ears, closing your eyes, and hand on the mouth as well, and then just making that sound. It's very calming. Try it. We must always teach kids for the sake of saying. Um, there is the cat and cow breath. Again, a very simple breath. I will show you just quickly. So what you do is you can actually do it seated. We'll do the owl breath because you're all seated. So owl breath goes, open your hand, inhale. Try it with me. Just breathe and open. And exhale, become small. Again, okay, breathe with me. Inhale, open. Fill up, fill up. Some of you are yawning. Come on. Exhale, close. See how that feels on you. Last time, ready? Inhale, open, breathe, breathe, breathe. And exhale, close. So this is the owl breath. Cat breath is very simple. You will come onto all fours like this. So like this stable position. And then what they do is you drop your smile, inhale, look up. And exhale, looking over. The movement is coming from here. Inhale, looking up. And exhale, looking within. Okay, that is the cat breath. So that is a couple of breaths that you can teach the kids, and then you can try. It will help. This is another example, which is where if you're finding that some kids are not enjoying this, simple thing is to place one toy on your belly and ask them to breathe. Inhale, pushing the toy up. Exhale, making sure the toy comes down. So they breathe fully, coming back to that beautiful belly breath that you were born with. So I'll inspire the children to use their breath and to use the full capacity of the lungs. Now, this is very important in today's day and age. As you know about the pandemic, it is affecting people's lungs. So we better learn how to breathe fully. Otherwise, we will be the one affected by it, okay? And habits to develop is if they're ever overcome by an emotion, they can come back to their pranayama. If it's too cold or too hot, they can use their pranayama. If they're feeling anxious and fearful, they can also use their pranayama. So they can use the breath as an anchor. Okay, I will stop at this because we don't have time for our last lesson. Did anyone have any questions so far? Are you okay? Any doubts?